Okay, everybody, welcome to my backyard. This is Daniel Schneider, and hopefully, this is my last ever, also my first video crash report. Had an awesome week of training this past week, really starting to solidify some fitness, and I was going to cap it all off yesterday with a huge day of climbing with some former teammates of mine here in Denver. This day of climbing, they do this every year as part of their training camp, and we started out in Boulder, Colorado. You head up Boulder Canyon. We were going to go up Magnolia Road, come down, head up Sugarloaf Mountain, and then come down, and then go back down to Boulder and go over to Flagstaff Mountain, which is actually the climb that the USA Pro Challenge Stage 6, I believe, whatever stage finishes in Boulder, will finish on this year. These are some of the more very serious climbs on the Front Range of Colorado. They're very, very steep. Colorado, of course, we're very much known for mountains. There's a lot of very good climbing here. However, most of our climbs are pretty mellow. Averaging, maybe 5 or 6%. The steepest sections are maybe 10%. However, these climbs in particular are incredibly difficult. Magnolia Road is the climb we went up first yesterday, and it peaks out, I think on some of the switchbacks, it's at least 20%. That's what my computer was saying, at least. And then, probably average is about 10, with lots of pitches up in the 13-14% range. So it's a lot steeper. Consequently, in the springtime, we get so much snow in the Front Range in the winter that they sand everything. They put sand down on these mountains all winter long, and it's probably July before that sand really starts to wash away and clear off the roads. This makes for it's fine for the climbing, but when you have to turn around and descend, it makes for some treacherous conditions. So to start the day off, I got out to Boulder. I'm putting all my gear on. I go to grab my gloves. I often don't wear gloves when I'm cycling, just for comfort reasons or whatever, but I had grabbed 2 right gloves. This is a problem because right gloves don't fit on left hands. But, no big deal, right? I regularly ride without gloves, so I'll just leave them behind. And I took off today gloveless. Yesterday, I took off on the ride gloveless. 5 of us climbed up Boulder Canyon. We took the left onto Magnolia Road. As far as cycling goes, I'm kind of a fat kid, so I was towards the back. It's an incredibly, incredibly steep climb. And I was dragging, but at the same time was still very excited about all this full day of climbing. We got to the top, and when we were turning around, I said, okay, who's a good descender? I'd love to follow you. I want to work on my descending. You don't get better at your descending by just going out and descending by yourself and doing things comfortably. You want to follow people's lines and chase them. So I'm following my friend Joe, and we're going down, and basically I mentioned earlier, some of those switchbacks are 20% and probably 14% lead-in and coming out of it. So we come around this corner going 35 miles an hour and maybe a little more, and I have about 50 meters before one of these really, really steep tight switchbacks, and I slam on the brakes, and I'm kind of skidding and sliding a little bit, and I realize that there's no way I'm going to be able to make this turn, so I have to let off the brakes to go flying past Joe, who is a very good descender. And basically I laid the bike down and slid almost right into the guardrail. No big deal. I'm totally fine. The bike is fine. I get up. I got a couple little scrapes here and there, but nothing to be terribly concerned about. I'm still excited to get back on the bike and ride and do these other climbs. Perhaps I was overly confident, but I think to myself, okay, get back on the horse. You took a fall, it happens, no big deal. Let's keep working on our descending. There should be a caveat to that get back on your horse thing. You should get back on your horse and also learn why you fell off the first time. But probably a quarter mile later, exact same thing happens. I come flying around a corner. I realize very quickly there's a turn coming up. I slow down much better this time, actually. I'm slowing down pretty significantly. I lean into the turn. Basically what you have on these roads, there's 2 tire tracks where the cars are driving regularly, and then everywhere else there's sand on these really tight corners. So I lean into the turn, I'm trying to stay on that tire track, and my front wheel catches the edge of that sand, and instantly I'm just sliding again. And this one was pretty significant. I slid into like a big mound of snow kind of, and but that time I got up and realized very quickly that I wouldn't be participating in the next 2 climbs of the day. Let's see, bulk of the damage as far as road rash goes, this is pretty minor. I slept pretty well last night, so it's not as bad as it might be, but nonetheless, graphic video coming up. Some minor stuff down here, and it gets a little more significant. Definitely had some good caked on blood running down my leg. It goes all the way up my leg and continues up into swimsuit territory that we won't cover. Got a little bit, let me see if I can get this, on my shoulder up here, and that's not too bad. When your shirt's sticking to your arm, that's when it's bad. My shirt's not sticking to my arm. Now I knew, of course, I would come to regret not having the gloves. This is going to be the most annoying part of this crash here. My hand. Let me see. Light. Yeah. Type 1 diabetic, you need that tattoo, or at least some kind of warning, sport band or something that tells people you're diabetic if you don't get up from one of these crashes. But yeah, a couple holes in my hand here, and those are going to be the most annoying thing. And actually on this hand, that on my index finger is probably going to be, that's what's been bugging me the most this morning. So with that, we got down to the bottom, took some pictures, unfortunately no like real crash pictures, but took some pictures, and I said, alright guys, I'm gonna go get some Tylenol. Went down the hill, got some Tylenol. That's very important to get the Tylenol in before you get home, when you have to get in the shower and soap up. That's always a wincing pile of fun when you're soaping up a fresh chunk of crashed skin. Huge thanks, of course, to Lamar, who makes our helmets. It's not as much damage as I might have thought. You can see there's some, I think there's a little rock right there stuck in the helmet, but a couple little dents on the front, scraped up down the side a little bit. That's all from the second crash. Always, even though it looks okay, it's always the best move to replace your helmet if it's been in a crash. You can see kind of the cracks in the foam right there. You don't know how deep those cracks go, and once they've been compromised, your helmet is no longer good. So for the next few days, changing bandages out, band-aids, things like that. Letting it dry out occasionally, and then making sure I'm keeping it good and clean, and continuing to clean it off and soap it up every now and again. Personally, speaking just for myself, I have an increased need for insulin when I'm healing like this. Your stress hormone levels spike up, you're doing a lot of repair mechanisms, you have a big energy need, but yeah, I take a little bit more, I increase my basal rate, and I also sleep like crazy, and it's one of those things you can't even control. You'll wake up in the morning. If you don't have to wake up the next day, you don't set an alarm. I got 9 hours last night. I woke up a little bit because of the pain and things like that. Yeah, I mean, in the past I've had some road rash and I've slept for like 12 hours straight, and it's just your body gets into healing mode. So with that, I hope this healing mode goes very quickly, and luckily, I was finishing a big training week, and I was planning on this being a rest week anyways, but hopefully by next weekend I'm able to get back on the bike and spin around a little bit, and looking forward to the season. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers, guys.